afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our monthly live stream. We've got a great show ready for you guys. We are excited to be back. We've had a couple extra weeks off with the way the calendar fell and the holiday. Hope everyone had a great Labor Day and enjoy sort of sending off the summer and get ready for some fall. So again, we are excited to be back. We've got a couple of great friends of ours from JBL that I want to introduce. And we also are going to be telling you about what we're giving away today. So if you are excited, this is probably our largest retail value giveaway that we've ever done. So thanks to our great partners. So Dan, I'm going to kick it over to you to tell us a little bit more about our giveaway for today. Let me pull it up so everybody can see it here. Ooh. All right, here we go.
Absolutely. This is a really fun one. We're really excited to get this out. But this is our new JBL SDR-35, which is our surround sound AV receiver. This thing is just monumentally cool because of the massive power supply in it, huge amounts of power output. It's 120 watts over 7 channels, but it can process up to 16 channels of information. So when we scale this to some of the biggest theaters, this is what you want in your living room. This is what you want in your dedicated theater rooms. And it really hits on all cylinders, even has all the built-in streaming, Room support, AirPlay to Google Cast. There's so much to cover and so much that's packed into this. In addition to direct live and room calibration, we could honestly spend hours talking about it, but I'm sure we have a ton to cover today. So I'll let you guys kick it back to you guys and let's get going.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. So an incredible giveaway. We can't wait to unpack it. Obviously, if you want to learn more about home theater, let me try to get this off here real quick. We are going to be covering all of that here in just a few minutes. So here's what you can expect for the next hour. Obviously, we're going to be talking about all things JBL and JBL Synthesis home theater. We're going to be talking about the great giveaway that we have. We're going to be learning a little bit more about JBL and what has gone into JBL Synthesis. If you have a question, go ahead and enter your questions or your comments. We can see all of those coming across YouTube, all of those coming across Facebook and so forth. So we'll make sure we try to get to as many of those questions as we can. Just for fun, for our best question, we also have another great giveaway that I'm going to pull up real quick here. That I'm going to have Nick tell us about. Let me pull it up real quick. Here we go. Nick, tell us about this best question giveaway.
Yeah, so if you want something a little bit more modest for your living room, we've got the JBL Bar 5.1 surround. I think it's valued at around $500. Yep, and it's a 10-inch sub, and it's got the full surround decoding, so it can do native 5.1, which has got the surrounds there on the side, left, right, and center. So this is a great piece just for asking a question. Pretty
cool, yeah. So $500 value just for the best question. So keep firing those questions. There's a little bit of a delay for me taking this off, but I'm sure it'll pop off here in just a second. Let me introduce our great panel members today. So first, Chris, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do with JBL, where you're from, what you are drinking. And of course, we're talking all things home theater. So a lot of folks always want to know, what is your favorite home theater demo tracks? I know I threw a lot at you. Go ahead and take it away.
I got you, Jonathan. Thanks to you and Nick and the team at Audio Advice. The JBL Synthesis is a great partnership and has been for over a decade now, and it's exciting to be here launching a great product, a great giveaway. I'm the regional sales manager for the Southeast region for JBL Synthesis. Our parent company is Harman, so we have some other brands, but JBL Synthesis is, one of the JBL's it's a household name. We do everything from great home theater systems to sound bars to earbuds to Bluetooth speakers. So it's a great brand to be part of. Today I'm happy to join you guys. I'm drinking a local beer. I'm in Tampa, Florida. This is High Life from Cigar City Brewing Company. Yeah. So a little local flavor thrown in there. So we're very excited today to be here live, and I can tell you this is kind of the kickoff of a partnership with Audio Advice, and Audio Advice is now the exclusive national online partner from JBL Synthesis, which up until this point, has really been an impossibility. Getting to the roots of where JBL started, Synthesis started back in the early 90s. And the reason JBL Synthesis and home theater came about was because our office is based in Northridge, California, and just outside of Los Angeles. And, back then there was a lot of, movie stars, movie producers that had screening rooms, and they wanted to showcase their latest film, on a small scale in their homes. So really JBL Synthesis was the first to kind of create that category of a custom approach to home cinema. Obviously the scope and the scale is usually quite a bit smaller than a commercial cinema. But what we wanted to do is create that cinema experience in a home theater application. So there's a lot of elements that go into it, from the design of the room to the electronics to the placement of the loudspeakers. And as Dan had mentioned, now the final element being the room correction. So we started back in the early 90s. Home theater, the craze has just grown and grown, and I think it's as big as ever. And we're excited to launch some of this new product because this gives us an avenue, not only in that special dedicated home theater space, but now we make it affordable and versatile enough to get into a family room system, a game room system. So the options now and the price points are almost infinite.
Yeah, awesome. Well, welcome again. Favorite home theater demo track?
Oh, it's got to be Shallow. I love movies, but I'm a music enthusiast. And if you can reproduce music, and you think about how much of a movie soundtrack is music, that scene, I've seen it 100 times. It still gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Star is Born, yep.
Yeah. And Chris took it easy on me earlier this year. As he mentioned, he's from Tampa. He's a big hockey fan. They did away with us pretty early in the playoffs with the Hurricanes, so we had to pull for our conference here the rest of this year. But congrats! I think you guys are trying to name your town. What is it? Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
That's pretty cheesy.
Don't encourage them.
That is pretty cheesy. But hey, they kick off the football season.
It was back-to-back Stanley Cup championships and a Super Bowl championship.
Okay, that's enough. We're going to switch gears back to audio and home theater.
All right.
Dan, welcome as well. Thanks for joining us. Excited to have you as well. Tell everyone a little bit about what it is that you do with JBL. What you're drinking. Again, cheers, everyone. Let us know what it is you're drinking. I've got a Corona from the fridge from this past weekend, Labor Day, again, sending off summer in style. And where you're dialing in from, again, what it is you're drinking. And Dan, same questions. What is it you do at JBL? And then, again, favorite home theater demo track.
Absolutely. So, as he mentioned, my name's Dan Jones. I'm out of the Dallas, Texas area, and I do regional sales for Harman Luxury and JBL. And really do a lot of national trainings and a lot of national training support. So you'll see me around these woods quite a bit. Today I am drinking, for the occasion, a little Boombox double IPA. That's a measly 8.1. So this should go pretty well. So we'll see how that goes. But really, my favorite demo track, because I get to get out and do quite a few of them. But one that just is so much fun and it just leaves a big smile on my face every single time I demo it is Ford versus Ferrari. I don't know if you can see it on my stand back there, but I actually keep it on my shelf. It's one I carry on quite a bit. You can fast forward and hit play from pretty much any point in that, and you get such dynamics. Whether you're listening to dialogue or the feel of the engines, that rumble in the room, Ford versus Ferrari is such a fun movie to listen to, and it's fun to listen to loud. I'm a big Formula One fan, so seeing the cars and feeling it in the room, that's what's impactful and that's what's really moving for me. So I love demoing that. Really fun one. If you haven't watched it, give it a go.
It's a great movie for sure, absolutely. And I've gotten into F1 as well over the summer, watching the Netflix documentary. I'm sure a lot of people have checked out, which is really
sounds cool. Amazing too.
It sounds great. Awesome. Nick, welcome back. Glad to have you again. Nick is one of our home theater experts at Audio Advice, and he's going to tell you some exciting news that we have to share as well here in a little bit later. But Nick, same questions. Obviously, people probably already know what you do at Audio Advice, but feel free to tell them a little bit more about the process that you take folks through. Yeah. And then again, you are a big home theater fan. What is your favorite home theater go-to demo track? And again, what are you drinking? Cheers again, guys.
Cheers again. Yeah, so I do most of our home theater designs for out-of-state customers. So if you're looking to have a home theater design, probably be talking to me. As for some of my favorite demo probably movies, I'm either going to say it's either going to be the opening scene to Baby Driver or Whiplash. It's one of the two. I like both of those a lot because I'm a music buff as well, like Chris is as well. So yeah, those are probably my top two. And as for my drink, I am drinking a IPA from Riverbend called a apologize less. No significance, but still good beer. So nice sunny day here in Asheville. That's where I'm currently.
Yeah, Asheville. You got a lot of great microbrews in your area. I think more than any other place in the country in terms of
square
per
footage,
capita, right? Something like that.
Yeah, square footage.
Pretty good
We're
place
50%
to call home for sure. Nick told me, John, you always say Ready Player One, so I'll try to come up with something new. I see a lot of folks saying that in the comments, but obviously that's a great one. You can't beat that opening race scene. I love the Mad Max scene that I think it was on one of the Dolby tracks, where you've got that like two-headed little frog or lizard, and you can just hear his little feet pattering, on the sand and on the rocks, and then just the big crash whenever he steps on him and picks him up and then bites off his head, and then you hear the cars coming from behind as he gets in the car and then heads off. So that's a great one. Just you got sounds coming from everywhere. The first time you ever hear Dolby, that's one of the great tracks to go to, just to see all kind of the 3D sound that you pick up. So many cool sounds. So let's see here. Chris, you did a great job telling us a little intro about JBL Synthesis. Tell us a little more about the new Synthesis lineup.
So the new JBL Synthesis lineup features really, for purposes today, we'll talk about the custom installation speakers, the SCL 6, 7, and 8. And those are all in-wall or in-ceiling loudspeakers. And really what they give us the ability to do is, in a small to medium-sized theater, give us the dynamics, the features that all those three speakers share. They use a compression driver tweeter. So a compression driver uses force against the tweeter to project sound live. So if you go to a live concert, if you go to a commercial theater, chances are you're hearing a compression driver speaker give you the ability of high SPL output, a super dynamic range, and with the SCL loudspeakers, very, very low distortion. Coupled with that, we use what we call a waveguide technology on all of those speakers, and that waveguide kind of steers the energy from the compression driver, again, to eliminate distortion, but also give the listening experience, a wide range. So we have a wide frequency range across a wide variety of seating areas, because typically when you're watching a movie with friends and family, it's, oftentimes more than one person listening. So we now have product, starting with the SCL 7, which is what we call an off-axis in-wall loudspeaker. So if you've got, for example, a large flat panel television, you want to flank the TV with what we call an LCR, a left, right, and center. The SCL 7 at $1,000 a channel will give you that 8 LCR capability. The left speaker would be towed in with the tweeter pointing in, the right towed in, and then you could put the center channel above or below. With a lot of conventional in-wall loudspeakers, you don't have that option. The SCL 6 is also an in-wall loudspeaker. And that has it's a little bit larger. It has a little bit higher output for maybe a larger room. That's an on-axis loudspeaker. So that's directly radiating out and not angled to any degree, but also gives you a wide dispersion pattern. And then the SCL 8, which we consider an in-ceiling loudspeaker. It's a round speaker. It's actually angled at 45 degrees. It gives you a wide dispersion pattern. It can actually be used as an LCR as well. If your only option is to go into the ceiling, you can actually use the SCL 8 as an LCR, but it's typically used as a Atmos or height channel or a rear surround channel as well. So those three speakers with the SCL 6, 7s, and 8s, in combination with the giveaway and what we're doing with the SDR-35, is a great foundation to the home theater experience. And this is brand new product from JBL Synthesis that is shipping now. Combination with that, we make some great in-wall and in-room subwoofers. We actually matched the SCL 6, 7s, and 8s to be our custom installation counterpart to our HDI series of product. HDI loudspeakers also use a compression driver speaker, so they match perfectly with the 6, 7s, and 8s. The difference being that these are in-room loudspeakers. We have 2 floor standing loudspeakers, a bookshelf version of those loudspeakers, and a matching center channel speaker. So when I started this by saying your combinations are almost infinite, they really are.
Yeah. The last thing I'd like to add to that as well is keep in mind, with the word JBL Synthesis, all these components are designed and built with each other in mind to maximize performance, utilizing, the front stage, your surround backs, your heights, the receiver, the processing to faithfully reproduce these RO3D, Atmos, DTS, and bring that cinematic experience to your living room. Because that's the whole goal of JBL Synthesis, is bring the cinema home. That's where we were born. That's where we do best. So we have the ability to bring those same technologies into the living room, into the designated theater within the home. And JBL does an amazing job of it with controlling the subs, the speakers, the receiver, the processor, and the room EQ, and even the target curves.
Yeah. Let's see. I got a couple cool pictures of a JBL Synthesis showcase theater that we did here not too long ago. Nick, you want to tell us a little bit more about this one? I know you helped the customer with some of the design.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, so this is a 946. So this actually uses the exact same setup that Chris was just talking about. So they use the SCL 6s, 7s, and 8s on this one, along with the SSW 4s and the SSW 8s. It's a mouthful, but this turned out to be a completely killer system. Sounded wonderful. So I'm usually not, I've always been kind of weary about in-wall speakers compared to floor standing, but these things keep up really well. Awesome dynamics. I love this room. It turned out perfect.
Yeah. So you could hear, this was a great video. We actually did a full theater showcase, which we'll link to so folks can see that if they haven't had the chance to do so. But this one was a lot of fun. And I know, Chris, you actually flew into town with some of the other folks from JBL, and we got to experience this and listen to this, which was really cool, which was a lot of fun. So this turned out really, really well. A lot of folks are asking, not to shift gears too much, but let's see, I got a question here from Mark Miller. I use my home theater often for 2-channel audio. How does the JBL SDR-35 process all the power for 2-channel music? Maybe you can just talk more specifically as well about just home theater and experiencing 2-channel in home theater, which probably relates to your demo track, Chris, with the with Stars Born.
Yeah, it does, and I will say this with the power and the power supply, the lack of distortion, just the energy from a JBL Synthesis theater, music it really shines. I mean, you just get that impact, and if you really think about it, a lot of movie soundtracks, most movie soundtracks that you listen to, it's the music soundtrack that gives the emotional element to it. So I think I saw another question kind of that was similar that said, do I need a separate stereo system to enjoy music? Absolutely not. This system can do it all. In addition to that, Jonathan, you had just mentioned that we flew in to calibrate the system. This was about 6 weeks ago when Apple had just introduced their Atmos music system. And it was the first time I experienced stereo music that was recorded in full surround sound. And it was extremely compelling, just super dynamic. It was awesome. And it was the first time I experienced Dolby Atmos music, surround sound music in a home theater that sounded like that. So music, movies, soundtracks, you name it, gaming. The homeowner for that theater was a big game enthusiast, and just to hear footsteps or things behind you, things over you, I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I'll chime in and say, I use this thing in a 2-channel setup for quite a while, and just to tie it back in, we've built this thing as priority to music, right? Because if you can do music right, you can do cinema right. This does use a massive toroid power supply. It actually clocks in about 1.5 kilowatts. It's massive. This thing can draw a lot of power from the wall, and it applies it. And you can actually even go in and reassign the surround backs to the front, so you can bi-amp your front. So if you're running a 4 ohm, 6 ohm, 8 ohm, whatever it is, it can power some of the biggest speakers out there effortless. Every single time I take these to a showroom or a demo or like a big hall where we do our big events, I run just this one JBL SDR-35, and the number one thing that people come out saying after driving these huge towers is that sounded effortless. Yeah. Brings it together, and then you tie in all that built-in streaming, the Roon, AirPlay, Google Cast. You can do 24 up to 192 just right over the Wi-Fi, and with it having Google Cast, that means you can link into all your other streaming services in the house. You're kind of brand agnostic as far as streaming, so this thing is bathed in audio and excels in cinema.
For sure.
And you can also do, so if you run down the room calibration, you can also run a direct setup for 2-channel. So you can do a separate profile. You know, if you do have a 7.1, 7.2, and you said, hey, you know, I want to set up a separate profile where I'm not running any DSP for 2-channel, you can absolutely do that. But if you do run digital, I mean, you guys use awesome digital to analog converters, wonderful signal paths, super low noise floor. Yeah, I'm a 2-channel guy in the beginning. Love them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can have those actually assigned to input specific. So, you know, as you change inputs, your CD input sounds, you know, how you want it for 2-channel, and your cinema sounds how you want it for cinema, you know, the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of folks asked how big that room is. In the full tour, we actually go into that. I just pinged some of our folks to try to get the answer, but I'll let you guys know just so you can get a you know, idea of size and scope of that particular room.
I think it's I think it's a 12 by 21 with the but there's a false wall there blocking out the window.
We came in just a little bit, so it's 19, 20 feet deep to the screen. Like you said, there was a window previously that we covered up with a faux wall. Actually, here we go. 20 by 12 by 9. There we go. Next question is actually from one of our loyal listeners, if you will, who asks a question from Brian Becker. Thanks, Brian, for asking your question. Thanks for always for showing up as well. Can room correction make up for a bad room acoustics? And so maybe you guys can talk a little bit about just room correction process specifically with JBL and Dirac, and you know, what if you don't do it, here's what your theater will perform, and if you do, you know, here's the delta or the difference that you can expect to hear.
So yeah, I'll start, and then Dan, you can kind of fill in some commentary. It always helps to start with a room that you can make it as good as possible acoustically. That doesn't mean like the theater that you saw, you have to do acoustic panels and, you know, have this acoustician come in and design the room to make it sound good. That's where Dirac can help. But it does help to do simple things like having a couch, having some, you know, soft, you know, window hangings, some curtains, some books, having some stuff in the room so your room's just not this empty shell. Anything you can do to make the room sound better, and an easy test is to stand in the room and clap. And if you have a lot of reverb or echo, typically you want to do some things to soften that, because we want to hear the sound that's coming from this loudspeaker, not that is bouncing from the room. However, with the fact that we have Dirac and now their bass correction software that's built in with a full license, you can take just about any room and make the system sound really good. I'll add this as well. The challenge in most rooms, and even rooms that are acoustically treated, can be with low frequencies. And so it's always important to have at least 2 subwoofers, preferably 4. But it's always good, not just for the output of the bass, but to blend the subwoofer across multiple seating areas. So if you have the right combination of speakers, the right amount of subwoofers, you can turn even a modest room into a spectacularly sounding room. Dan, you want to add anything?
Yeah, and you know, I'd say, you know, the better you can start off with the room and have, you know, less acoustic issues in the room, obviously the better the end result's going to be. That's why you have partners like Audio Advice that help design that and put that together to make it come full circle. So at the end, as we're correcting less. The less we correct to make the room sound as best possible, it's going to give you more dynamics, more headroom, and we don't have to adjust as much for the room. So Chris is absolutely right. Using multiple subs definitely help get rid of some of those room modes and get rid of some of those dips, so that in your seating areas, we can control how it's going to sound and present the best, most accurate sound possible to those listening areas.
Yeah, absolutely. The photo that I put up here, there's a little bit of a lag, so I apologize it's staying up here a little bit longer. But this particular theater has 4 subs, which is really cool. Like you mentioned, it makes a huge difference in the overall sound. And when that's calibrated, it just really improved the overall sound of the theater and the performance, which is really cool.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that you can actually predict a lot of what your room's how the frequencies are gonna respond in, and that's called, you know, if anybody's curious, you can look up room mode, and you can actually figure out what frequencies you're gonna have a natural issue with, and you can somewhat correct for that. And then after you're done, use any type of room correction or DSP to kind of put the cherry on top, so it's not trying to push a level too high and making it sound unnatural. So yeah, it's Definitely, I think acoustics are a very important thing to consider, but direct and other room corrections help a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're able to take that to the next level with Dirac. Now, not just encompassing the subs, but your speakers within the room and the impulse control and actually how they cross over and where they cross over and how it reproduces properly in your room. Dirac bass control, which comes embedded and with this JBL Synthesis SDR-35 that you guys are giving away today. That's usually like an additional $500 license. Just comes built into that. And so, to really put the best foot forward and fix as much as you can within the room, that provides it.
Yeah, and I see a lot of folks saying, "Hey, these are pretty extraordinary theaters," which they are, absolutely. But that's why they're showcases, right? These are the Ferraris in the showroom. So obviously, not every home theater project that we do is to this extent, to this degree. But it gives you some idea. If you don't want to ever leave home, you can have the same cinematic experience in your home that you could have in some of the best theaters in the country, without question, especially with the new JBL Synthesis line. And Chris, as you mentioned when we first started, we are incredibly excited to be the exclusive partner with you guys on this new project. So really cool.
I'll add in as well, to that point, JBL Synthesis, we design and build some of the largest cinemas in residential homes and commercial spaces out there. We deal with, $250,000 theaters that we do dedicated theaters in, but those same technologies trickle down and work into what we do in the living room. So if you want that same technology, you want those same performance advantages, and the same people that worked on those massive projects, that's JBL Synthesis. So we now, and we haven't had this before, but to Chris's point, we have a speaker that starts at $1,000 and goes to up from there. It's completely scalable. Yeah. Starting at $21,000 and up, then the sky's the limit for a full dedicated theater.
Yeah, which is amazing. Let's see. A couple of folks asked some specific questions about SDR-35. Does it have Dante? And if it does, what does Dante add? That's from Tim Perry.
So the short answer is yes. And what Dante gives you the ability to do is connect multiple amplifiers. So the SDR-35 has a 7-channel amplifier built in. To utilize all 16 channels, we need an outboard amplifier to drive the rest of the loudspeakers. With Dante, with a single piece of category cable, we can connect the receiver to the amplifier or amplifiers using one single cable. It's digital audio over network, essentially, is what it is. And yes, the SDR-35 has it.
Yeah, which is great. Cool. Anything else to add? If not, we'll keep firing away at some of these questions. Lots of good questions coming. It's great to see so much interaction from so many different folks. Let's see. We talked about 2-channel, and someone did mention that you can have 2 different settings, one for 2-channel and one for home theater. So it makes it really easy to switch back and forth between the two, which is great. So let's see. A couple more questions here. Should you change your speaker settings to small regardless of how the amp detects them in an auto setup? From Josh Wan. And that's a little specific and granular, but I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Well, first off, we don't have an auto setup. It's something that, we would recommend going through and setting up and configuring the room. And a good place to start in a lot of rooms, an 80 hertz crossover is generally going to protect most speakers, and let the subwoofers do what they're designed to do. Play bass in the room, and don't make your speakers, if they can't handle low frequencies, cross it over so you don't hear that added distortion. You don't hear the cones flexing. You're not making those things struggle or dip to really low, weird nominal impedances. So, let the speakers do what they're meant to do. Let the woofers woof, and then let's balance it and calibrate it for the room.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to add?
Oh, no, I like that.
All right, cool. Here, let's see. Couple more. If you guys see any that you want to take, feel free to do so as well.
I've actually got something I want to ask both Chris and Dan. We talked about the receivers being good for 2-channel. Now, I have a lot of people that have questions and say, well, I know that Synthesis is supposed to be one of the best for home theater. What about whenever I want to listen to 2-channel with with the compression drivers? Are they going to sound too harsh? Are they going to sound X or Y? What is y'all's opinion on that?
Well, compression driver, fundamentally, it uses force to create tension, to create a sound. So a lot of people, when they hear a compression driver speaker, they oftentimes, because they play loud, they associate it with distortion. But this generation of compression drivers, what we call the D2 generation of compression drivers, started on the pro side of audio. So millions and millions of dollars of research went in on professional audio to create a compression driver that has zero or no distortion whatsoever. And one of the ways we've actually proven that is we have in our facility in Northridge, California, where we do all of our speaker testing, the ability to do double-blind listening tests. So the presenter doesn't know what speaker it is, the listener doesn't know. And we get hundreds and hundreds of participants to rate the speakers based on a criteria of, distortion, bass performance, now along, maybe 10 different things to rate the loudspeakers. And recently we've gotten these D2 compression driver speakers to be indistinguishable from any other conventional loudspeaker as far as distortion is concerned. Obviously, we know what the benefits are. They play loud, they're dynamic, they're capable of high SPL. However, they are now indistinguishable from a standpoint of distortion between any loudspeaker using aluminum or beryllium or any exotic material, any conventional loudspeaker, with the added benefit of being super, super efficient. A conventional tweeter, aluminum tweeter, is probably less than 5% efficient. A compression driver speaker is probably well over 80%. So you take that efficiency and you take the fact that they don't have any distortion, and that's why we can compellingly say they're great for movies and music.
Yeah. A couple more questions about just Dirac and the process. Maybe you can speak to just how you walk someone through the process. Obviously, Chris, Dan, I know you guys do a lot of calibrations in person. Nick, you've obviously been doing a lot remotely. So some folks are asking, is it done on the TV? Is it done through a computer? You kind of walk folks what they could experience going through that Dirac calibration process.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to start off? Kind of just
start my process? Let's hear it.
All right. So now with the wonders of a lot of stuff being remote, people don't even want, calibrated inside their house. So, luckily you guys actually have a web interface or a web GUI that you can enter once the receiver or processor is connected to the network, you can actually log into it straight through a browser and do a lot of the standard settings, a lot of the setup, adjust your distances, all of that. And then you can go through and do Dirac. And so I'll have people say, hey, move your microphone 5 feet over that way, 5 feet over that way. And you can actually do a full setup. But, there is more advanced tools that you can use if you want to bring in like an SPL meter, things like that, which I'm sure that Chris and Dan both use quite often. So yeah, you guys go over the in-person side of it.
Yeah, no, certainly. And we, Dirac, it does take a little bit longer. It's not one of those things you plug into the receiver and you hit a button and it does it in 10 seconds. It is involved. It's something that's run off your computer. There's processing power behind it that actually we take measurements of the room and we basically adjust what we need to adjust to balance the room to a specific target curve. And here at JBL, we utilize the Harman target curve, which we know sounds good subjectively and objectively. And I mean, there's huge books about that. I mean, you can go read up on that and have, huge 500-page books around what sounds good in the room. We've already done the research. You can apply our Harman targets within Dirac, but it's a little bit lengthy process. You take several measurements within the room, you apply those targets, and we send it to the AVR. So yeah, it's not a simple plug and play type of thing. There is a little bit of know-how that goes into it, but with the right reading from resources from Dirac, it can be done, or from your favorite audio device person.
Yeah. Next question. Anything to add, Chris?
No, that was great.
Is this HDMI 2.1 compatible? From Joey.
That's a great question. And so these are HDMI 2.0 out of the box on the SDR-35. Coming in fourth quarter of this year, we actually have an HDMI 2.1 board that will be released. So all the units that have been sold in the last year, you could actually have them updated to an HDMI 2.1 board. So we can do that. There will be a cost associated with it, but they can be upgraded and updated to 2.1, so you can have full 8K. And what's beautiful about it is the 8K board that we use is brilliant. It's a full 8K HDMI switching. It does all the frame rate lock, all that. All 7 inputs and all 3 outputs are 8K. So nothing watered down there.
Another great question, I think that's from Michael, is the AV processor support 8K and 4K 120. What about available refresh rates for gaming? I want to use the TV processor rather than the AVR.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So my follow up to that is, there's no reason, not to get something today, right? We've built in the the future compatibility with 8K. No
Well,
need to wait.
Until then, if you have a TV that, because most projectors, actually no projectors, I don't think have HDMI 2.1 yet, because they're not going to be able to, especially if you're using it for gaming for 120 hertz, you just can't. But what you can do is plug it straight into your TV, and then you just run that out via ARC straight to your receiver or processor, and you're good to go.
Yeah, for gaming, that's always going to be your best option, regardless.
Yeah. Least amount of lag.
Yep.
So I saw a question come through earlier about what does it take, what does it cost to design a home theater? So I would actually want to throw a question back to Nick and Jonathan, because one of the reasons Audio Advice is our national online partner is because they've put in the time and the resources to help customers that may not have a local resource. They may not have a local home theater expert that can guide them and install the system for them. So their YouTube channel, their page is full of do-it-yourself, how to install, how to cut in speakers, how to paint speaker grills. But fundamentally, when you go to audioadvice.com, what you'll see is their home theater setup tool. Yeah. And that was the thing that they launched last year that we really said, we've got to partner with these guys on a much bigger level, because now it makes the design process really easy for somebody that may not even know what to do. You just put in the parameters of your room. Are you using a projector or TV? How many rows of seats? So I would encourage everybody watching today to check out the home theater tool. And today, Jonathan, maybe you want to take it from here to talk about how that now integrates with JBL Synthesis.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that great setup for us. So about a year ago this time, we launched this home theater design tool that Chris, you just mentioned. Nick, you're going to get ready to pull it up and walk us through, right?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Just this last week, we launched some great new updates, sort of version 2.0, if you will. So over the last year, if you've had the chance to go in and interact with our home theater design tool, go check it out again. We'd love your feedback. We've made some great improvements. We've been working on it for quite some time. We try to take a lot of the feedback that you guys have left us. And what we've done is we've integrated this new JBL Synthesis line into the home theater design tool. And then in addition to that, we've also incorporated a lot of the content that we're sharing, whether it's home theater showcase videos that we've referred to throughout the night so far, or a lot of the tips and tricks that we're always posting out there. Like you mentioned, something as simple as how do you paint, your grills, subwoofer placements, all of those things, great theater content. And then obviously everything related to JBL Synthesis. So Nick, you want to walk us through some of the new updates to the home theater tool?
Yeah, I've got, there it is. Now you guys can see
it. A little bit of a lag. Sorry for that, folks.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so we've actually made a few adjustments. Some of that are smaller, some that are much larger. So yeah, like Jonathan said, and Chris said, if anybody's looking to make a new theater, if you're starting from a new construction, or if you have an existing room that you're kind of looking to play around with placement, make sure that you got it all in the correct spot. This is what the theater tool kind of helps with. So some of the small adjustments that we made, if you played with version 1, you're getting a lot more granular with your depth and your dimensions. It used to go by 1 foot or 6-inch increments, and now you can go down to just a single inch, which is pretty neat. So going from there, we have our video set up. We had some adjustments to the immersion levels. So in case you guys don't know, this is a lot of people that are just building theaters don't understand viewing angle. And so what we look to do is try to simplify viewing angle as much as possible. Viewing angle is basically if you were to do a triangle from the corner of your screen to the chair back, it's the angle of the tip of that triangle. So we simplify it by doing our immersion level, which you can see 36 degrees about average. You go up higher and extreme if you like to be about a foot from the screen. And then you can go further back and it tells you if you've gone too far. We also made some small adjustments with the Atmos calibration, or just to make sure that they fit to the space if you're closer to the back wall. So kind of now to some of the bigger, cooler features. Before, we've always had kind of in-room speakers. So every speaker had to be in room. Let me see if it's going to let me. There we go. So every speaker had to be floor standing, which in a lot of new constructions, people have gotten where they don't like to do this because it looks sleeker to have in wall. So we added the ability to do every speaker individually in wall. So if you want your front 3 to be in wall, rest floor standing, vice versa, you can do each one and add it to it. So in addition to kind of that sleek look, we also have the ability to do an acoustically transparent screen now.
Yeah.
So you can go and put all 3 of your speakers behind the screen, your front LCRs, and it
Maybe
just
you
makes
can
it
do
look
it too and show folks. Those are the actual JBL Synthesis speakers that are rendered in the tool.
Yeah, so these are actually these are the SCL 6s right here. And then if we go with the front floor standing speaker, this is the HDI series. So it's the HDI sub. Now, obviously, our tool doesn't allow you to do those behind the screen without a false wall, but that's why you need to talk to a designer. But outside of that, we now have the ability to do 2 subwoofers. Now, placement on subs, I know we're probably going to get in the comments saying it's not always the best spot. Talk to us. We'll help you out. We'll help you place them. And then we also have the ability to do up to 6 Atmos speakers, which is really cool. So for larger rooms, now this room's obviously a little small for 6, but if you want to do 6 in a larger room, you can now go up to a 726 versus before it was a 7.2 or 7.14. So
real quick, Mark asked, does putting the speakers behind the screen affect the sound? You can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so it depends. If it's done properly, it's not perceivable. When I say properly, you want enough space between an acoustically transparent screen, because that's the thing that you need is an acoustically transparent. Now this is a wormhole that I could get down for a while, or a rabbit hole rather, but there's a woven screen and a micro perf. Typically you want about 8 to 12 inches from the speaker to the screen itself. So if you're able to create that space, then it's going to sound a lot better. All your high frequencies are going to be able to come through and it's going to sound fantastic. So no, I wouldn't say that it hurts the sound by any means. And a lot of the times the aesthetics are worth it.
And I would add to that even more of a reason to go with a compression driver loudspeaker, which gives you more linearity across a frequency spectrum. So if you do put anything acoustically obstructive in front of it, it will help deal with that from a linear perspective, and also because of the fact that it has high output and higher gain than a conventional loudspeaker, you're just going to be much better off.
Yeah. Really cool. So we're excited again to roll this out. It's completely free. Just go to the home theater design tool. We've linked to it here in the chat, and play around with it. Again, give us your feedback. Put your room in. Hopefully, it's pretty user friendly. We've got a lot of great feedback from folks. And again, this is sort of just the first step in the process. If you're designing a home theater at home and you want to interact with Audio Bites, you can come to us. You can use this tool to sort of get a really good sense of what it is that you may need. And then what we'll do is we'll do a one-on-one appointment. And someone like Nick or someone else on our team will spend a good amount of time. We'll even do a full 3D rendering and a 3D design for you. And then, of course, recommend the ideal products for you for your home theater experience. And then we mentioned even post-purchase, we make sure that we support you and get it set up and fully calibrated so that you're maximizing the performance of your home theater, which again is one of the great reasons why we're really excited to be partnering so closely with JBL Synthesis on this. Awesome, Nick. Thanks for walking us through.
Absolutely.
We'll get back to a couple more questions here. I guess some folks ask real quick just about acoustic panels. What is the impact? What's the difference between absorption, dispersion, those kind of things? And what's a good solution for someone maybe at home?
Do you guys want me to kick it off?
Yeah, I want you to kick it off. I would just, remind, our listeners that, acoustic panels, they can help a room, but they can also be detrimental if not done properly. And Nick, if you want to kind of chime in on that, how to do it properly and not screw up your room.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely over-deaden a room really quick because you see some people that are like, well, I want to get rid of all reflections. We're used to hearing reflections. It sounds natural to our ears. So the second you go into a thing that sounds like an anechoic chamber, it's disorienting. Like there's an anechoic chamber, I can't remember where it is, that they bet people they can't stay in there for more than an hour because it's so uncomfortable.
We have 5 of them at our facility if you need to come visit.
You guys have 5 of them? I want to come and see if I can last. But the unnatural aspect to it is really important. But the main things to really, if you're looking to just start out, treat your first reflection points. Your first reflection points are where those sounds are going to come off the speakers and hit that wall in the first spot. And so there are a couple of those depending on how many speakers you got. So that's usually where that's highly debated whether you use diffusion or absorption. I personally use absorption. But yeah, put absorption on your front spots. Treat the back of your room. If you got some bass problems, you can put in bass traps. That's usually the easiest place to start. But if you want to go down, take it another level, you can get the room analyzed and really find every single spot that's an issue.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll chime in here. Hopefully we don't go too far down a rabbit hole, but these JBL Synthesis, these SCLs or synthesis compression loudspeakers that we've designed, they're designed in mind to work in real rooms. They're meant to have amazing directivity, which means they sound good on and off axis. So when you do have those reflections off the walls, they sound right. They sound outside themselves. They sound big and full. These are meant to work well with reflections. Don't be afraid of, you don't have to have acoustic treatments all over your room to make a room sound good. You can over dampen it. These speakers, with their controlled directivity and amazing on and off access listening within their HDI waveguide that Chris brought up, are amazing at even working in a living room, placed as in a ceiling from left, center, right, so they're playing into your space and respecting RO3D, Dolby Digital, and all these sound formats that are out today. So I mean, no thoughts. Nothing's been not thought about in the design of these speakers when it comes to reproducing sound in real rooms and dedicated theaters.
Yeah, great comment. So folks asked, hey, this is a great tool for a square or a rectangular room. How does it help you? Obviously, if you don't have a perfect room, or maybe you've got a vaulted ceiling, or maybe it's a multimedia room. So Nick, maybe you can just elaborate a little bit more on this. Is sort of the first step. And you can see, if you look at the home theater showcase video that we share, we actually show you the next rendering we do in that video, which shows a full 3D rendering. And then you can kind of see that room come to life. So maybe Nick, just touch real quickly on a little bit more about that process.
So basically, if if you come to me afterwards and you say, "Hey, Nick, I've got a funky shaped room. It's either got doorways and obstructive spots, it's got a big L, it's got a vaulted ceiling, whatever," then I will probably take it and do a rendering and have a custom layout done. Now, that's really, really helpful, especially because while our tool does a great job of finding a median point to put your speakers, it doesn't always work. And the cool thing about Dolby Atmos, it actually has a variation of degrees in which you can place the speaker. So we can kind of take all of that into account, take a holistic view, get you an equipment list that works. And then the other big piece is that, not only do we help with the initial design, we kind of work as a way to skip the forums while you're trying to work in the room, because let's say that you're looking for, what kind of outlets I should put in. Should I do dedicated circuits? Where we kind of want to work as, the main encyclopedia for you to say, hey, what do I do here? And that's the huge help. So yeah, we're always here to work with funky shaped rooms. Should you have any questions, and we also have, if you have a quick question, our chat and phones are both open. But if you're looking to build a whole theater, give me a call.
Yeah, and Nick, just to kind of tag on to that, I saw a question pop up about we obviously have the SDR-35, which we're minutes away from the big giveaway, exciting. But also we make a standalone processor called the SDP-55 and a multitude of amplifiers that can be combined with that. So the question is, what's the way to go? And the short answer is, just due to lack of time, there's a bunch of JBL Synthesis product we haven't talked about, including the bigger SCL2 3s and 4s, and our new flagship loudspeaker, the SCL1. So SCL1 is a massive loudspeaker with dual 15-inch drivers on it. It's $15,000 a channel. Obviously not appropriate to run off of a receiver system. So, the short answer to the bigger electronics is you want to match the electronics with the appropriate loudspeaker, of course. Also, there's a lot of benefits to having separate power supplies, separate from the digital section of the amplifier, kind of audiophile 101 stuff. Yes, it will sound better. But again, I think the most important thing is matching the right loudspeaker with the right electronics.
Got kind of a high-level question for you guys. This was from, I don't know how to say his handle here. It ends with DROT. But he asks, this is for Chris or Daniel, what do you think the founder of JBL would be most proud of with the synthesis system innovations?
I think James B. Lansing would be astounded in this day and age. It would be future shock for him to hear how good and how realistic his technology that he started in the 30s. I'll remind everybody that we're celebrating the JBL 75th anniversary this year. So a company that started by James B. Lansing 75 years ago. Absolutely cheers to James B. Lansing. I think he would be incredibly proud, incredibly blown away at how good this stuff sounds. And how true to his vision of creating that, cinematic experience. Now we can create that cinematic experience at home. Cheers.
Absolutely. Anything to add to that? Dan?
I mean, I don't think I can add anything to that. I mean, we've been around a long time. We've been doing movie theaters for longer than anyone, because I think we were the first. And really invented the category of home cinema, and really revolutionized the pre-made full system. So we've just come full circle and have made it very accessible.
He said, "Cheers to James B. Lansing." That's right.
That's right.
I'm about out, so the hour is getting close to the end over here. Maybe, I guess just in terms of the SDR-35, maybe just walk us through a little bit about the differences between what you get at that level versus maybe the next level down, so folks have want to know a little bit more about that.
Well, the SDR-35 versus the next level down, really this is the cornerstone to pretty much all of our JBL Synthesis cinemas. Whether you're doing a living room or a dedicated theater, you can use this. So this is the entry point for JBL Synthesis. Processing and amplification. We use that huge, massive 1.5 kilowatt toroidal power supply, an amazing DAC from ES Sabre 9026 Pro. We use Class G amplification, which is a hybrid style amplifier that really runs in Class A at all its typical wattages, and then transitions into a Class A/B for the added dynamics. I know that was a lot I just threw out there, but it really packs so much in for what it provides, and really the price point. There's nothing that really touches it in that same price category, and the fact that you can scale it to 16 channels within a room is just insane. So you can do a 9.1.6 no problem, or 7.4.4 no problem, and reassign those. So when you talk about comparing it to lesser receivers, it's in a class of its own. It's a different ball game.
Definitely.
I'll finish by saying this, Dan. If you would have asked me just even a few years ago, looking at the electronics lineup we had with JBL Synthesis, everything that receiver does, in terms of electronics, would have cost you $30,000-$40,000 just to add it up. With that said, all the things that the SDR-35 does. With the new SCL loudspeakers, you had mentioned we have starting theaters using the SDR-35 at about $20,000, but there's no reason you couldn't combine any of the SCL 6, 7s, and 8s with our sister company Arcam has receivers starting in the $2,500 price category. So that combination, I mean, you're talking about theater systems, 5.1, 7.2 systems that realistically could start in that $10,000 to $12,000 price category and still give you that amazing experience.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, because a lot of folks are asking, if you can't quite afford this level, Arcam was a great solution that's still under the Harman umbrella that shares a lot of that same technology, correct?
Yeah, you get a lot of the same benefits for a fraction of the price. Obviously, the SDR-35 is the flagship, I would say, of all of our receivers that we carry under the Harman brand. But I would argue it's one of the best receivers that's ever been made.
Yeah. Real quick, I know we got a minute or two left. Do you guys just want to touch real fast on some of the Synthesis loudspeakers? I know we did a great review on the 75th L100s recently. Just something else that's relevant for folks who are interested in 2-channel while we have you guys.
Well, yeah. So, the L100s have been incredibly successful. We introduced last year the L82s, which would be the little brother to the L100s. We're excited to announce we now have a new L52, a version of the L100 Classics at $1,000 a pair. They come in all the colors of the L100s, so you can do the JBL orange, blue, or black grills. Really solid cabinets, same titanium tweeter, just scaled down into a smaller package. So the L52s coming out later this year, fourth quarter, are very, very exciting, very affordable for $1,000 a pair. Dan, what do you got?
Well, remember, we also have the 75-year anniversary. Obviously, we have all of our JBL SCL, so Synthesis compression loudspeakers. We have a full line starting from $1,000 up to $15,000, along with 4 different dual subwoofers. So we have SCL 2s, 3s, 4s, and probably my favorite, funnest speaker that's bang for the buck, just knocks you out of the park, are the JBL HDIs. Yeah. My goodness, what a fun speaker! And I mean, you put that in a room and it's going to make you happy. Those JBL HDIs, routinely rotate them through my front living room, and I love them every single time they're in there. They use the same compression technology that we've been talking about today, but JBL HDI, fantastic floor standings and bookshelves, and the sub is just to boot. I know Chris has 2 of those subs in his room, and
It's awesome. It's just, I think it's one of the best subwoofers JBL has ever built, and these are in-room 12-inch subs, powered subwoofers. They are just awesome.
Super
and Nick,
fun.
also under the Harman umbrella, I've had several folks ask, what are those amazing speakers you have right behind you?
These are the Revel F226BEs. It looks like I'm paid off by Harman, but I'm not. I swear. I just genuinely really love these speakers. We do a music show or an audio show at our Raleigh and Charlotte locations once a year. And so Chris brought these in, and the day he brought them in, I think it was before they came out, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I heard him. I was like, all right, I'm putting an order for those. And so ended up finally ordering them. Love these speakers. They've, they're one of my prized possessions.
Yeah, I run those, and then the HDIs. So those are the speakers that rotate between my living room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Love them. Good choice.
And if you guys ever get the chance, hopefully one of these days we'll get back to seeing some of these shows in person. Rocky Mountain, Expona. I know the Harman Group, and obviously, specifically JBL always does a great job demoing. So if you don't have a local dealer in your area, or you don't want to make the trip to Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina, which hopefully you guys will as you're headed to the beach or the mountains over the course of the summer or the fall, come see us. But you guys do a great job of showcasing a lot of your feature products at those shows, which is a ton of fun. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to those here in the not too distant future. Let's see. Sorry, my computer froze up here again real quick. We got time for maybe one more question, and then we will announce our winner. Any other questions that we didn't touch on that you guys want to address real fast?
Scanning through, I think we hit on many of them. I know a lot of questions about streaming, but just keep in mind all the the SDR-35 and most all of our Harman products are all built-in streaming. They support MQA. They do the Google Casting, which does 24/192, does it Apple AirPlay too. So it really works with everything. Really, you launch the app and you can over Wi-Fi just send it right to your device. It really couldn't be easier. Same app to use in your car. You bring it home and listen to it. Can't think of any easier way to do it. And it does Rune if you want Rune. Rune's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to do our best question. Of course, right as we do this, my keyboard and my mouse just froze up, so I'll have to pull up my phone to go to our winners here. So we're going to announce the winner of our best question, which again, Nick, tell us what they're winning.
The JBL Bar 5.1 surround. It's a really great piece, guys. You want it in your living room, I promise.
$500 value. So for that, we're going to give that to one of our loyal listeners for a great question, Brian Becker. It's going to be the winner of our JBL 5.1. Congrats. That is definitely a nice, awesome prize just for asking some really cool questions. Thanks again for showing up. I'm going to just make a quick shout out. Heather, I can't click on my computer because everything's frozen. Would you mind real quick before we announce our winner, putting up on the screen our giveaway for next month? Again, you guys, hopefully you appreciate it. There's a lot of folks behind the scenes that are helping us out here. So there's Heather taking over the screen for me, putting up the new giveaway for next month. Be sure to go ahead and enter, bringing back our good friends from SBS. And you guys, if you're familiar, I'm sure a lot of you guys with Youthman on YouTube. He's a great home theater enthusiast. He's going to be joining us as well. So be sure to go ahead and enter for next month's giveaway. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we'll see you again next month. So now, the moment we have all been waiting for. Let me pull up our winner.
Get those sticks out, Chris.
Little virtual drum roll here. So our winner for tonight, again, we've never had an actual live drum roll. It's always been a little virtual, so that's great. Quentin McKenna from Illinois. Quentin is our lucky winner. $7,500 value. That is something you just can't beat for sure. So awesome. Congratulations. You are going to be our lucky winner. We will reach out to you very, very soon to get that over to you guys. Again, thank you, JBL, for providing that for us. It's been just an awesome, awesome month with you guys. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be a great, great new product line for you guys. And we are, again, incredibly excited to be partnering with you guys as the exclusive online retailer. Cheers again to everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again for making this a whole lot of fun. We always love doing these. It's so great to see how many folks are coming and adding and viewing this every month. And, if you had some questions that we didn't get to, we will make sure that we go over the next day or two and post some answers to those questions. So be sure to go back and watch this either on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. We will see you again next time. Let's see if I can end it here real quick.